All right, let's get right into today's session, day 6. I'm going to do track 14 and 15 of language transfer and then continue on the video that I was working on yesterday, add another couple sentences, and today's going to be the last day that I add to the video. Tomorrow I'm going to work the video over and over to try to get it down pat. And then on Sunday, I'm going to start a new video. So let's get right into language transfer.
What was to know?
Saber.
Saber.
Saber. Good. What would I know be if it follows our rules?
Sabo.
Sabo.
But it's not. It's se. So it's an exception. Se, se. You might have heard lo sé, literally I know it. Because se by itself is a bit short, so you often hear people saying lo sé, I know it, rather than se. So this is irregular, very irregular. Se. No, but the rest of the versions of saber are regular. So how would you say he knows, or she knows, or it knows, or you form will know?
Sabe.
Sabe.
Good. So I don't know?
No
No sé.
No sé. We said that quiero was I want, and quiero actually is an air verb. So how would you say I don't know what he wants? What is what?
No sé qué quiere.
¿Qué? No sé qué lo quiere.
Why lo?
He.
Firstly, you're not using the word for he. You're just saying he wants, and that's contained in the verb.
Yes, of course.
But lo is not he, it's him, not he. We didn't learn yet the word for he. On purpose, actually. We haven't been learning these words, so that we can just use the verb for now.
Okay.
So try again. I don't know what he wants.
No sé qué quiere.
No sé qué quiere.
Good, you must feel comfortable with two words becoming one. I don't know what he wants. No sé qué quiere. Good. The word for he is el. El. So if you want to be emphatic, I don't know what he wants, or if you want to show or clarify who you're talking about, you can add that. So how would you do that? I don't know what he wants.
No sé qué
No
él
sé
quiere.
qué él quiere.
Good. No sé qué él quiere. Or you can say, no sé qué quiere él. You can do either. One sounds more emphatic than the other. And this is much better understood in live practice. Because the emphasis is not just in the sentences, with the hands and the facial expression and the tone of voice. So it's something much better to get live. No sé qué él quiere. No sé qué quiere él. The word for she. What is the word for her first? We want to differentiate. What is the word for her?
La.
Like in, I want to see her. How would you say, I want to see, to view her?
Quiero verla.
Quiero verla.
Good. Quiero verla. But if you want to say, she sees, it's not her, I want to see her, it's she. And the word for she is ella. Ella.
Ella.
Now this is spelled E-L-L-A. Double L in Spanish is pronounced yo. Ella.
Ella.
So if you want to say she sees, to see is ver. What type of verb is it? Are verb, ir verb, er verb?
Er.
Ver.
Ah.
It's an er.
An er verb. It seemed too obvious to us.
Sorry. I thought you might be asking something more complicated.
No, this is an er verb. So how do I say she sees?
Ella
Ella ve.
Ella ve. And if I know who I'm talking about, I can just say ve.
ve.
Maybe when we are contrasting in the sentence, we have a special desire to use these words. When I say contrasting, I mean in the sense maybe I say, I want to invite him, but she doesn't want to invite him. So even if we know who I'm talking about, there I will probably use the word for she, because I'm making that contrast. Again, these are things you just do very naturally without realizing it once you get practicing. Also because your native language probably does the same thing as well. Even if you don't have the choice whether or not to put she, like in English you always put it, you will stress it with your voice. I don't want to invite him, but she does. So because you are stressing that with your voice in English, that's also going to carry over. Many things are going to carry over that are positive language transfer that we might not necessarily address specifically. So how would you say that? I don't want to invite him, but she does want to invite him.
No quiero invitarlo, pero ella quiere invitarlo.
So, I don't want
No
No
quiero
quiero
to invite him.
invitarlo.
invitarlo,
Good. No quiero invitarlo. But,
No quiero invitarlo.
pero, she does. So actually, we can just say,
Ella-
but she, yes. What was the word for
Ella
yes?
Quiere,
sí,
Sí. So we can just say, but she, yes. How would you do that?
pero ella sí.
pero ella sí.
Good. No quiero invitarlo, pero ella sí. Or maybe I even use the word for I there to be
Ella
emphatic. Yo no quiero invitarlo. Yo. Y-O. Yo no quiero invitarlo, pero ella sí.
Yo no
So we said
quiero
that salir
invitarlo,
was to
pero
leave or to
ella
go
sí.
out. Now, I leave or I go out is salgo.
Salgo.
It's irregular. Has the g sound popping up. Salgo. But the rest of the versions are regular, so let's make them. How do you say he goes out? Or
Sale.
he leaves? Or it?
Sele?
Again, you're making some Turkish vowel harmony here, huh?
Sorry, what's the two?
Salir.
So it's seli, No.
Sale.
Salir.
sale.
Sale. Good. So that sile you put before is because it just sounds better. The mind has some kind of desire for this vowel harmony. It's very interesting. Sale. Now you can make me the rest. They, or you plural, you guys.
Salen.
Salen.
Good. And you informal,
Sales.
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 Good. Now, if you want to say I'm going out to eat, how is I'm going out again?
Voy a salir.
So it should be salo, but it was
Sango.
salgo.
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 Salgo. So the irregularity is the same as the other one that we saw. Tener, tengo, to have, I have. Venir, vengo, to come, I come. Salir, salgo. So how do you say I'm going out to eat?
Salgo.
I'm not
Salgo a comer.
sure the word out.
This is the verb. The
Oh,
verb is
salgo.
to leave
Yeah,
or
and-
to go out.
right,
So
okay.
you don't need the word
Okay.
for out.
Salgo comer. Salgo a comer.
Why did you think of the a? I think you felt it. No, you felt that sense of movement. Good. So salgo a comer. It's a verb of movement. Good. Voy a comer. I'm going to eat. Salgo a comer. I'm going out to eat. Very good. What was I have?
Tener.
Tengo.
Tengo.
Tengo. I have it.
Lo tengo.
Lo tengo.
Lo tengo. Good. I have them.
Los tengo. Los tengo.
Los tengo.
Los tengo. Good. If we add on que to tengo, and there's not really any comfortable translation for this, but if we add on que, we get I have to in the sense of must, have to. So, for example, if you say tengo que comer, we get I have to eat. So we change the meaning of tengo, like have, which is just possession, to have to by adding que. And like I say, there's no comfortable translation. Que is what or that. It's also used as that, and we're going to use it like this later. But again, it's still very uncomfortable to translate. So we would just say we add que and we get the meaning of have to. So how would you say I have to do it? What was to do?
Hacer.
Begins with a
Tengo que hacerlo.
silent H.
Hacer.
Hacer. So I have to do it.
Tengo que hacerlo.
Tengo que hacer.
So-
Hacerlo.
Good. Tengo que hacerlo. Lo tengo que hacer. You have the option. So we've seen a few verbs with this go business. Vengo, I'm coming. Tengo, I have. Salgo, I leave. And we've seen that the go just pops up for the I version. Doesn't pop up for the other versions, this G. So tiene, for example, is he has. Tiene. How would you say they have?
Tienen.
Tienen.
Tienen. And how would you say you have? Speaking
Tienes.
informally.
Tienes.
Tienes.
Tienes. Good. So if I give you the version for he comes, it's viene.
Vienes.
So how would you say you come?
Vienes.
Informal.
Yes.
Vienes.
Vienes. The word for when is cuando. Cuando.
Cuando.
When do you come in?
Cuando vienes.
Informal. Vienes.
It's the English that's confusing
¿Cuánto
you.
vienes?
Exactly. So don't let that English, are you coming, confuse you. There's a lot we're doing in English there we don't need to worry about for Spanish. ¿Cuándo vienes? When are you coming to eat?
¿Cuándo vienes a comer?
¿Cuándo vienes a comer?
A comer, very nice. ¿Cuándo vienes a comer? When are you coming to eat? Tiene, what does tiene mean?
Have.
But I need you to be more specific.
He has.
I'm giving you more information than just have. Tiene.
He, it, she, or formal you.
Very good. Ella tiene. Ella tiene.
She has.
She has.
Good. Quiero saber qué tiene.
I want to know what she has or he has.
I want to know what you have. I want to know what you have.
What you
Or-
have or she or it. Very good. You said that a very interesting detail about tener is that you can also translate it as tain when this tain forms part of another verb in English. So contain becomes contener. No? So how was it has or she has? He has?
Tiene.
Tiene.
Yes, we saw that it was tiene. We haven't looked at why yet, but we've seen that it's a little bit irregular. In Spanish, you can generalize this irregularity. How is I have?
Tengo.
Tengo. I obtain.
Obtener. Obtengo.
Obtengo.
Obtengo. Sounds rather formal in English, but in Spanish, you might use it like get. I get it. Lo obtengo. I obtain it. To put in Spanish is poner. Poner.
Poner.
Poner.
That means to put. And I put, you have the same business with this G popping up. So how do you think it sounds? I put.
Pongo.
Pongo.
Pongo. And poner is interesting like tener because when we have pose inside of a verb in English, we can turn that pose into poner and we get the verb in Spanish. So the example would be compose becomes componer. So to compose is componer. How would to suppose be?
Supponer.
Suposer.
So compose is componer.
Supponer.
Suppose is
Suponer.
suponer. And how do you think you would say I suppose? We want to
Supongo.
generalize our irregularities in Spanish. So how was I put? How was that? I put.
Pongo.
Poner.
Pongo. So suponer, to suppose, becomes
Supongo.
for I suppose.
Supongo.
Yeah, supongo. And you will hear supongo que sí. I suppose that yes. I said that que can also mean that. I suppose
Supongo
so.
que sí.
We say in English. In Spanish, you say I suppose that yes. Supongo que sí. You will hear that. So we had componer to compose, suponer to suppose. How would you say to impose?
Imponer.
Imponer.
Imponer to expose,
Exponer.
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 to oppose.
Opposer.
Oponer.
Yes.
Opponer.
I oppose it. I oppose it.
Oppongo.
Lo opongo.
Lo oppongo. I oppose it. Good. And I have
Tengo.
tengo. And we said we can add on que to get the meaning of have to. So if you want to say I have to see her, how would you say it? I have to see her.
Tengo que la. Tengo que la ver. Tengo que verla.
Tengo que verla.
Good. We could say la tengo que ver or tengo que verla. Both
La
are
tengo
fine.
que ver.
How would you say I must see her? I owe to see her.
Debo. La debo ver.
Debo verla.
Debo verla. Or where else could you put that la?
La debo ver.
La debo ver.
Good. La debo ver. The difference between tengo que and debo is exactly like English. We use must when it's a bit more serious. No, I must see her. And we say have to like an everyday kind of thing. The way you use it in English and Spanish is exactly the same. So debo is a little bit more severe, a little bit more serious. And tener que, to have to with que, is more everyday. Tengo que comer ahora. What does that mean? Tengo que comer ahora.
Now.
I have to eat now.
Good. I have to eat now. What does it mean if I say voy a intentar comer más tarde? Voy a intentar comer más tarde.
I'm going to try to eat later.
Voy is I'm going.
Yes.
Intentar. Can you say the whole sentence again?
Voy a intentar comer más tarde.
Voy a intentar a comer.
It sounds odd
Voy a
because it sounds
intentar
like I'm
comer
going
más
with the
tarde.
intention to eat later.
Good, but it's not a noun. It's not the intention. It's not la intención. It's intentar. And when you hear that R on the end, you can suspect that it's a verb. Most of the time it's going to be. So you want to something. Voy a intentar.
I'm going to intend.
I'm going to try.
Ah,
I'm going to try.
to
Com-
eat. Yeah, to
Yes.
eat later.
Exactly. I'm going to try to eat later. Good. So let's make a very short recap on these useful verbs that tend to have verbs coming after them in this way, like voy a. So we had voy a, I'm going to. I can. It might help to know that the word power is related to this word in Spanish. Of course, when you can, when you're able to, you have the power to.
Poder.
So it's related and it begins with P. I can.
Poder.
Puedo.
Puedo. Good.
Puedo.
Voy a comer. I'm going to eat. Puedo comer. What does that mean?
I can eat.
Yes. Tengo que comer.
I have to eat.
Debo comer.
I must eat.
I must eat.
Quiero comer.
I want to eat.
I want to eat.
Good. So these verbs, quiero, voy a, tengo que, puedo, debo, they're very useful because we can just put the to form after.
Alright, next one. 9 more minutes. I'm a bit tired today, but we'll push through.
What was the word for what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Que. And do you remember how it was to pass?
Is it pasar?
Pasar. And this can also mean like to happen, to pass in the sense of to occur. How do you say he passes?
Pasa.
Pasa.
Good. And she passes?
Pasa.
Pasa.
And it passes?
Pasa.
Good. And if you want to say what passes, meaning what
Que
happens,
pasa.
what's going on, what is happening.
Que pasa.
Ah, I remembered it now. I went through the whole process and I remember people saying, ¿Qué pasó?
Ah, this is the past. We said that
pasa.
when you emphasize that or on the end, it's actually the version for he, she, it in the past. So que pasó is what happened. And we will look at this later. But what's happening? What is happening?
¿Qué pasa?
Good.
Que pasa.
So if you want to say, I want to know what's going on, I want to know what's happening, I want to know what's passing.
Quiero que pasa.
Quiero saber qué pasa.
Quiero saber qué pasa. Quiero saber qué pasa.
Quiero saber qué pasa. I
Quiero
want to know
saber
what's
qué pasa.
happening. Good. There's one more thing we need to know about the present, and it's going to fill in happily a grey area for us, which you might be wondering already. How did we get tiene, he, she, it, you, formal, has, or have, and then the other versions, tienen, tienes, from tener? To want is querer. What is I want?
To want is querer. What is I want? Quiero.
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 So how does querer become quiero? So there's something else we need to know about the present to understand this, and then we can manage the present completely. So what's happening is that when we have an E in the to form of the verb, like in tener, to have, like in querer, to want, when we have an E inside of the verb, it's part of the root, not part of the ending, not that that doesn't count, but the in ten and the in quer of querer. When we stress it, when we emphasize it, it often splits, most of the time, it splits into an IE under the stress of that accent. Under the stress when we say querer, we have the accent on the end. We have the accent on the ending. Then when we take off that and we put o, we would have quiero, but when we stress down that e, it splits and it becomes quiero. The same for tener. We would have tene for he has, but when we stress down on that e, it splits and it becomes tiene. The same for come. We have venir, but when we say he comes, she comes, it comes, you formal come, it would be bene, but it becomes viene. Now it's not happening with tengo, vengo, because we can say the N and the G kind of holds it up. So this is probably why it got saved. But otherwise it splits. Now, this might seem quite of an abstract thing to get your head around, but what is very helpful is that we have this between words in English and Spanish. We can identify this between words in English and Spanish. For example, we have a word that we use for time in English, but only in music. Do you know what is this word? A word we use for time, but only in music. When you speak about the time, the rhythm of music, you talk about its...
Beat.
Not beat, but tempo. Now, time in Spanish is tiempo. You see the difference between tempo and tiempo, other than the Spanish pronunciation, is that the E has split into IE. So you can even see it between words in English and Spanish. Concert in Spanish is trying to do the same thing.
Concierto.
Concierto. Good, you stuck an O to make it sound more Spanish and you split that E. Concierto. November is noviembre. So this will help us remember. So this happens most of the time. We already saw places that it doesn't happen. We saw very briefly the verb llegar, which was to arrive, and we said llego, I arrive. We saw esperar, which was to wait or to hope. Espero. It's not happening, but most of the time it's going to happen. We saw it happening with tener, which became tiene, he, she, it, you formal, tienen, they, or you plural, tienes, you informal. We saw it happening with venir, to come, viene, vienes, vienen. Another verb that we see this with is pensar. What do you think pensar means?
To think.
Thoughtful.
But it's a verb. There's no verb to thoughtful, is there?
Ah. Well, to think.
Yes, that's it, to think. It's very useful for us to group words into families. So verb is a family. So when you decide what type of word it is, then you narrow down the possible behaviors of that word and you manage to manage it much easier. And making that very clearly, that connection, is really, really helpful for you to think, pensar. So if you say, I think, how is it going to be?
Pienso.
Pienso.
Good. It would be penso, but you stress down on that E and it splits into IE and you get pienso. Pienso. How is he thinks or she thinks or it thinks or you formal?
Piena.
Piense.
This sounds like a vowel harmony. I mean, it sounds nice. Piense, because we have IE and then we want to put an E next to it because it matches.
Pienso.
But that's Turkish grammar. You must know where you are with any verb. And to know where you are, you must go back to the to form. Then you are confident.
So it was pensar or not?
Pensar.
Pensar, not penser.
No, pensar. So you must go back there and then you feel confident. Otherwise, the base is going to affect what vowel you want to put on.
Piensa.
Piensa. You informal?
Pienses.
Piensas.
Good. What do you think?
Piensas.
¿Qué-
¿Qué piensas?
Piensas.
Yeah, ¿qué piensas?
¿Qué
This is a
piensas?
useful verb as well, actually, because if you say, I think to eat, it means
Pienso comer.
I plan on eating. You can say, I think to eat. That's simple. I think to eat. How would it sound?
Pienso comer.
Pienso comer.
Pienso comer. I think to eat later is I plan on eating later.
Pienso comer más tarde.
So how would you say I plan on eating later?
Pienso comer tarde.
That means I plan on eating late, which is fine, but later is more late. And more is related to massive.
Más tarde.
Good. Pienso comer más tarde. I plan on eating later. So you can use it like that as well. We saw venir also splits with the exception of vengo. He comes, she comes, you formal. How would that be?
Viene.
Viene. They?
Vienen.
Vienen.
Vienen. You informal?
Vienes.
Vienes.
Good. Do you remember how was when?
¿Cuánto?
Quando? When are you coming?
¿Cuándo vienes?
¿Cuánto vienes?
Cuando vienes.
¿Cuándo vienes?
Entender means to understand. You can use comprender if you forget it, but entender is better. It's more common. But comprender is easier because it sounds like comprehend. And also in comprender, the E doesn't split. I understand this, comprendo. But with entender, it does split. So you can use comprender, but most common in Spanish is entender for understand. And here the E does split. So how would you say I understand?
Entiendo.
Entiendo.
Entiendo. Entiendo. How would you say he understands?
Entiende.
Entiende.
Entiende. Good. They
Entienden.
Entienden.
entienden. Perder means to lose. It's kind of related to perish. There is a connection there. Or perishable food, food that is that rots, or real food. Perder, to lose. I lose.
Pierdo.
Pierdo.
Pierdo. Good. The process is perder, perdo. Maybe it splits. Pierdo. Good. I lose it.
Lo pierdo.
Lo pierdo.
Lo pierdo. Good. I lose them.
Los pierdo.
Los pierdo.
Los pierdo. Good.
Okay. So 2 more down. Tomorrow on to number 16. Let's close this out. Open up photo booth. So yesterday I added a bit more to my story about why I want to learn Spanish. I talked about how there are like 450 million Spanish speakers worldwide, so a lot of people speak it, and that could be a good reason to learn. So I'm going to start the story from the beginning and see how I do, and then add a bit more and keep repeating it. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo en España. El año pasado fui a Valencia con mi familia y me encantó. Hacía sol incluso en enero. Donde yo vivo en Berlín, Alemania, no hay sol la mayor parte del año. Hay una playa cerca. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Algo que me gustó mucho de Valencia fueron los parques infantiles. Tengo un hijo de 3 años y pudo jugar fuera todo el día. Hay algunas desventajas de Valencia, como que todo cierra durante la siesta, pero los pros superan a los contras para mí. Estoy hablando mucho de por qué me gustó Valencia, pero también quiero decir por qué me gusta la lengua española. Es una lengua latina como el francés y el italiano. Ya tengo experiencia en el aprendizaje de algunas lenguas latinas, así que el español debería más fácil para mí. Soy de Estados Unidos, allí se habla mucho español e incluso hay comunidades en las que es la lengua predominante, tendré muchas oportunidades de practicar. Otra razón por la que quiero aprender el español es porque mucha gente lo habla. Es porque mucha gente lo habla. Hay 450 millones hispanohablantes nativos, solo superados por el chino. Alright, I think I got through all of it. That was a bit bumpy. I'd like to go through it again before I add more, but let me watch the one from yesterday first.
Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo en España. El año pasado fui a Valencia
Are my headphones not connected?
con mi familia y me
Aprendizaje. Allí. Calle. All right. I'm gonna go right into I'm gonna make my video again. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo en España. El año pasado fui a Valencia con mi familia y me encantó. Hay una playa cerca. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Hacía sol, incluso en enero. Donde yo vivo en Berlín, Alemania, no hay sol la mayor parte del año. algo que me gustó mucho de Valencia fueron los parques infantiles. Tengo un hijo de 3 años y pudo jugar fuera todo el día. Hay algunas desventajas de Valencia como que todo cierra durante la siesta, pero los pros superan a los contras para mí. Me gustaría volver a Valencia este invierno, pero veremos si puedo ir. Estoy hablando mucho de por qué me gusta Valencia, pero también quiero decir por qué me gusta la lengua española. Es una lengua latina como el francés y el italiano. Ya tengo experiencia en el aprendizaje de algunas lenguas latinas, así que el español debería más fácil para mí. Soy de Estados Unidos, allí se habla mucho español e incluso hay comunidades en las que es la lengua predominante. Tendré muchas oportunidades de practicar. Otra razón por la que quiero aprender el español es porque mucha gente lo habla. Hay 450 millones de hispanohablantes nativos, solo superados por el chino. Alright, I think that was way better. Let's watch it. All right, pretty good. I didn't spot any errors, at least from the text that I've written down, and what I've written down could be wrong and could contain errors and could contain things that aren't idiomatic Spanish. But at least from what I have, what I said pretty much matched it. Now, let's just add a little bit more to that. This is the last day I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add more to the video, and tomorrow's all about perfecting the video before I move on to making a new video. I think all the grammar and all of the words that I've learned for this video have stuck. So this learning method is definitely intense, but it is effective so far. Okay, I started this journey 7 days ago. Okay, 7 days ago I think is like hace 7 días. There's a long road ahead of me. I should change that because that's an English expression. So there's a long road ahead of me. I still have a lot of work to do. But I hope to be conversational by next year. Okay, I started this journey. Even I started this journey is kind of idiomatic. Maybe I should say like, I started learning Spanish 7 days ago. I still have a lot of work to do, but I hope to be conversational. So I started learning something. I think this is going to be the first time I use the simple past, or what is it, simple present, which should be like he comenzado a aprender el español hace 7 días. Let's see if that's even close. I started learning Spanish 7 days ago. Okay, almost. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Empecé, what is empecé? Empezar, I started, okay. So I think it's still in the preterite. Empecé. Yeah, it's the preterite of empezar. Empezar. Empecé. So, empecé a. I started to. Empecé a aprender español hace 7 días. This one actually might be the most native sounding. At least in French, that's how I would structure it, where you have 7 days that I started learning Spanish. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Okay. hace 7 días que empecé a aprender. I also don't have a good feeling when to use el español versus just español. In my video, I noticed that I either added it or dropped it in a place compared to what I wrote down. So here I would have said el español in my head, but it looks like that's not the case. Even in the alternative suggestions, that's not the case. Okay, so hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender el español. No, I just added it again. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. I still have a lot of work to do. Ya tengo mucho trabajo. Ya tengo mucho trabajo, pero I hope, maybe something like espero estar conversacional, something next year, próxima año. So I still have a lot of work to do. I think it's ya tengo mucho trabajo. Okay, no. Oh yeah, ya is like already, not still. Todavía tengo mucho trabajo. Okay, so I still have a lot of work, but I forgot to do. Todavía tengo mucho trabajo que hacer. And here the alternatives say, todavía tengo mucho trabajo por hacer. Todavía tengo mucho trabajo por hacer. Or qué hacer. Let's add more, but I hope. Yeah, I was right. Pero espero to be. So they use the other form of to be, and I haven't really learned the difference between them yet. Conversational by next year. They changed todavía to this ayun. Like, ayun. Pero. Okay, they changed the whole sentence. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer, pero espero poder conversar el año que viene. The year that comes. Quedar. quedar. Aún me queda. Aún me queda, aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Aún me queda mucho, queda. Let me add it to this site. Okay, quedarse is to stay, and this is saying me queda, me. So it looks like me queda is used to say I have. It's like an expression to say there remains for me a lot of work to do. Aún me queda. And what was aún again? Aún, there still remains to be a lot of work for me to do. Aún me queda. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Aún me queda. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Okay, the rest was pero espero poder ser. Pero espero poder conversar. Pero espero poder conversar. Is conversar another verb? Yeah. It's like, I hope I can talk next year. Pero espero poder conversar. Pero espero poder conversar el año que viene. Okay, let's start from the top. I'll close this. Hace 7 días que empecé. Hace 7 días que empecé a. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer, pero espero poder conversar el año que viene. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer, pero espero poder conversar el año que viene. All right. All right, I'm gonna take it from the top. Estoy aprendiendo español porque me gusta. Let's stop that. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo en España. El año pasado fui a Valencia con mi familia y me encantó. Hay una playa cerca, pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Hacía sol, incluso en enero, donde yo vivo en Berlín, Alemania, no hay sol la mayor parte del año. Algo que me gustó mucho de Valencia fueron los parques infantiles. Tengo un hijo de 3 años, pudo jugar fuera todo el día. Hay algunas desventajas de Valencia, como que todo cierra durante la siesta, pero los pros superan a los contras para mí. Estoy hablando mucho de por qué me gusta Valencia, pero también quiero decir por qué me gusta la lengua española. Es una lengua latina como el francés y el italiano. Ya tengo experiencia en el aprendizaje de algunas lenguas latinas, así que español debería más fácil para mí. Soy de Estados Unidos, allí se habla mucho español. E incluso hay comunidades en las que es la lengua predominante. Tendré muchas oportunidades de practicar. Otra razón por la que quiero aprender español es porque mucha gente lo habla. Hay 450 millones de hispanohablantes nativos, solo superados por el chino. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español, aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer, pero aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer, pero espero poder conversar el año que viene. All right, let's watch that. I think the beginning was really good. All right, I stumbled through that again. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo en España. El año pasado fui a Valencia con mi familia y me encantó. Hacía sol, incluso en enero. Donde yo vivo en Berlín, Alemania, no hay sol la mayor parte del año. Hay una playa cerca. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Algo que me gustó mucho de Valencia fueron los parques infantiles. Tengo un hijo de 3 años pudo jugar fuera todo el día. Hay algunas desventajas de Valencia, como que todo cierra durante la siesta, pero los pros superan a los contras para mí. Me gustaría volver a Valencia este invierno, pero veremos si puedo ir. Estoy hablando mucho de por qué me gusta Valencia, pero también quiero decir por qué me gusta la lengua española. Es una lengua latina como el francés y el italiano. Ya tengo experiencia en el aprendizaje de algunas lenguas latinas, así que español debería más fácil para mí. Soy de Estados Unidos, allí se habla mucho español e incluso hay comunidades en las que es la lengua predominante. Tendré muchas oportunidades de practicar. Otra razón por la que quiero aprender español es porque mucha gente lo habla. Hay 450 millones de hispanohablantes nativos, solo superados por el chino. Hace 7 días que empecé a aprender español. Aún me queda mucho trabajo por hacer, pero espero poder conversar el año que viene. All right, that felt good. Let's see. All right, all set for today. As always, before I go to bed, I'm gonna repeat the story in my head or say it out loud. I usually don't record them. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm able to do it a little bit better than I did the day before. So, see you all tomorrow. I'm gonna